jump. Climb out on the roof, just jump, motherfucker, you a lazy little shit. Why not jump and just fucking quit? It's your own fault, boy, you never did enough. And now you're gonna pay for the fucking shit you say. Victim blaming, mental shaming, always bitching cause I'm gaming. But this shit now I'm proclaiming, and I'm aiming for the house of lies that you built on the hilt of the dagger that you staggered my ass with. Now you haggard, I'm so aggro. Call your fucking son a faggot. Why so ragged? You a maggot. See $1 and just grab it from the mouth of the starving reprobate. So much hate, bitch, I needed an escape from the rape of my sanity. Humanity is drained from my motherfucking corpse as I hit the fucking dirt. All the fucking hurt and the shit I can't recall dies with me. All the shame and the failure, I'm a terror. Fuck my mirror, time to fix this fucking error. Yeah, I'm the bearer of this shit, and I wear it on my wrist. Now it's time to cut it out and just grow the fuck up. In my mirror, it's a vision that I see of myself. Damn, I'm looking like my father, so why even bother? I'll die for my mother, so I'll never treat another the way that he fucked her. I'll break this damn cycle and jump, 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 motherfucker. Jump, 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 motherfucker. Just jump, 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 motherfucker. Jump, jump, motherfucker. When there's evil in my heart and there's Satan in my veins, I'm insane. Best get stitches in my brain or a cane, cause I can't fucking stand on my own 2 feet. Feet is my only fucking path. I'ma retreat, can't rest until my brain hits the concrete. Fuck you, I'm just tired of this DC and these lies that you fucking spew, and the shit you put me through, and the shit you fucking do. But sometimes I just wonder if the shit you say is true. I'm just so damn rude and irresponsible to boot, and I'm the fucking reason mama's cutting her wrists open. I just see too much, play too much, got some shit to say too much. Never clean my cage, I must. Such a fuss, boy don't cuss. I'ma fucking take your trust, give to God and make it rust. Time to bust, mustn't lust, gonna leave you in the dust. Live a life that's unjust, into hell you will be thrust. Satan is your just reward, you don't get a fucking sword. All of time you won't be bored, only flames, just rest assured. When my warnings you've ignored, you'll be punished by the Lord. Cast aside you are abhorred, grace will never be restored. Jump, 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 motherfucker. Jump, 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 motherfucker. Just jump, 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 motherfucker. Jump, 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 motherfucker. Just jump, 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 motherfucker. Jump, 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 motherfucker. Just jump, 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 motherfucker. Jump, jump, jump.
All right. All right. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, I am.
What up? Welcome. This is it, yo. The stream I told y'all was coming. We got okay. Everyone take a deep breath, okay? Everybody, the audience included, deep breath, all right? This is going to be this is going to be informative. And it's going to be a long stream. Well, maybe. I don't know. It's going to feel long. I'll say that. How you doing, Taylor?
I'm doing all right.
That's good, yo. You want to introduce yourself to the audience?
I'm Taylor Kirk, Scotty Kirk's wife, former host of the Drunken Peasants.
All right. And so, as you guys know, we're here to talk about Ben. I did a stream in the past talking about this, talking about some of the accusations, some of the very unseemly behaviors of Ben, a current host of the Drunken Peasants. And since I did that last stream, a few more people have come out and brought forward some stories of their interactions with Ben. And Taylor is I've known Taylor for a few years, and of all the people who have come forward, Taylor is probably the one I've known about the longest.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Do you want to start with do you want to talk about the last time you came on this channel?
The last time I came on the channel, I think, was in 2018, and I know this because our Discord says it.
Right.
So let's see. I guess 6/29/2018 was the last time I went, and I think, was it with Paul? Maybe.
I think you came on with Paul, and you came on a couple times by yourself as well.
Maybe so. Yeah, and I came on and I brought up some of the things that I guess we'll discuss tonight, having to do with Ben.
Right.
And his behavior towards women.
See,
no,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you're fine.
No, I was just going to say, see, I found that very interesting then when you came on and you started talking about Ben, because I had talked a few times about Drunken Peasants and DFF and what my thoughts were on the two shows. And most of my criticisms of Ben were more how he conducted himself on the show. And I had a lot of criticisms to the way he, just kind of his attitude, the kind of person he was. I really hated, like, I started picking up on little things about Ben that I really didn't like. I was like, dude, I feel like all he's doing is, like, shitting on his fellow co-hosts or trying to trigger them in one way or another. Like, most of the segments seem centered around triggering either TJ or Scotty or Paul or Billy or whoever else was on the show. And
Right.
I was getting more and more sick of that, and I was getting sick of, like, the fact that it seemed like Ben couldn't handle criticism. And unbeknownst to me, a video or a short stream that I did way back, and this is probably the first thing I did that ever got me any amount of attention, was me criticizing, it was called DFF versus DP. And I was talking about the two shows, and I was, talking about why I didn't like DP anymore and why I like DFF better. And Ben kind of, I realized way later that Ben actually saw that stream and was really mad about it. And if I'd have known that at the time, that would have colored my perception of him. But honestly, I kind of just, I said my piece, what I thought about Ben, and I just kind of moved on. I didn't really focus on it too much. I know my channel started as a show that was a fan show criticizing both shows and talking about them, but I quickly moved away from that. But unbeknownst to me, Ben has actually held a fucking grudge against me for a very long time. And in fact, Ben sent the stream to Animancer at the time and was like, "Who's this? Is this one of your friends?" And they were like, "No, but this person actually seems kind of cool." And it's just kind of funny. I had no idea of this until way later, and because my point is, I've been accused of, like, having a vendetta against Ben. I don't have a vendetta against Ben. I like I said, I made my criticisms, I put them out there, and I moved on. And he was the one who held on to these criticisms and, like, was mad about me, so that years later, when I started streaming with people that were close to him and he was like, "No, you're not allowed to do that," I started thinking more of back when you came on. Because I'll be honest, like, when you told your story, you made Ben seem like a creepy person, and I was kind of like,
Right.
yeah, he sounds icky, like, but, like, I don't think he's a evil human being, I don't think he's a irredeemable shit stain or whatever, but, like, the more interactions that I've had, even just tangential, have like reinforced this idea, and it sucks because I never wanted to hate. Like, this was one of my favorite shows. I think much like you, like,
It was mine too.
it was my, yeah, I just wanted to enjoy my favorite show, you know? It was my favorite podcast. I had fun watching it. I wanted to like meet the people involved with it because I respected them so much, and I never wanted to learn this shit about someone that I looked up to and respected. Like, it almost reinforces the idea, don't meet your heroes, if not for the fact that like the other people on the show that I've met have all been wonderful. So at least for the most part, mostly.
For the most part.
But yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. I lost track of thought. That's fine.
It's okay. No, I think you're just getting to the point of it being interesting how it's come full circle, really.
Right. It kind of has.
So
I never thought.
It really has.
I know some people, like I said, I know some people think that like I'm doing this for clout. I'm doing this because I have some vendetta against Ben, dude. As I've said before, if I was doing this for clout, I would be doing streams about Ben nonstop. I'd have his name in my title. I'd have his picture in my thumbnails like he is in this one. I'd have him plastered all over my channel, and I'd be talking about nothing else. I want to make things clear to people. Anyone who's watching this right now for the drama, anyone who's watching this because they want to know
they are.
Right. Well, anyone who's specifically watching this for the drama and because they want to know what happened with Ben and what's going to happen. Like, I'm going to tell y'all right now. If that is all you're interested in, either don't subscribe, or if you want to see my future streams about this shit, subscribe with the plan to unsubscribe when it's done. Because I promise you guys, this is not something I ever wanted to fucking get involved in. This is not the kind of channel I ever wanted to become. This is something that I feel like I have an obligation to do on some level, because honestly, I've known you for a while, Taylor, and I've seen you be afraid to talk about this. I've known other people that have been afraid to talk about this. And when Alicia finally came forward and told her story, I was sickened by the fact that no one else was talking about this. No one else would touch this subject. Like, they just wouldn't. No one will even like lend it the slightest bit of credence. And so I feel like someone has to. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'm about to interview Taylor. I'm going to ask her some questions. We're going to go through her story. And then I have another one of the victims that's agreed to come on, and I'm going to interview her next. And anybody else out there who has experienced something like this with Ben, please DM me. This is a safe place. My community, the people that stick around my community anyway, are decent people who are going to be very welcoming and open, and you guys can feel safe to come here. I fully expect trolls to show up, but my mods know how to handle trolls. I got good mods, all right? So
That's good.
hell yeah. This is a safe place. Everyone needs God damn it. Tripping over my goddamn words. I'm not used to doing streams with such high view counts, I will say. I know for you've probably been in streams with higher ones, but I
was on a show with Onision, yeah.
Right. So I know you're nervous. Forgive me if
that's a creepy motherfucker right there.
Yeah, he is. Well, you certainly know
he wasn't too bad in person, honestly.
Well, he has to be decent in person. Like, that's how he ropes you in. That's how he makes you think, oh,
he
yeah.
Did touch me, though.
He touched
you?
you?
He did touch me.
Ew,
yeah, he was touching my tattoos. I was like, ew, stop, please.
Oh, my
You're
God.
gross. Yeah. But anyway.
But yeah.
I really, I'll tell you this. What made me so sick and why I felt like I had to say something was how similar Alicia's story was to mine.
Yeah, I bet.
I've never met her before. I've never talked to her until really this.
Right.
And So
I didn't
I
really
really hope
either.
she's
And
watching because I want her to know that she is safe. And to the other people, I hope they feel that way as well. And I can tell you that this is very nerve-wracking. I really don't want to have to say a lot of this stuff, and it was really hard to go back and think about all of it. But shit, if I can do it, you can too, you know? So, now again, I have talked about this before, not in as big a detail, but I did talk about this years ago. But I just feel like it's a little different. So,
well, you definitely didn't go into as much detail when you came on before. So,
no, and I couldn't, and I didn't feel like I was able to. It was much. I had to be more calculated with my words, for reasons,
right.
and I haven't talked about it since then. Really, not out of fear. I mean, I know Ben's watching this, and I'm not scared of you. More just I didn't want it to affect the people that I love that might have been affected by it, but he's not able to anymore. So
Right. And
anyway,
I'm glad that you feel strong enough to come forward and be able to talk about this, because there are people that are still afraid of him, and I know of people that there are people close to me that are still hurt by even thinking about Ben, because it's like he's affected a lot of people in a lot of different ways, not necessarily just women that he's been involved with, but like all kinds of people. And it sucks. It sucks watching someone. And I will say this. I do believe he uses his platform to not only it's bad enough that he uses his platform to rope in women, and which I think is kind of questionable in the first place. Using your platform to actively seek out dating partners is kind of creepy. If you happen to meet someone that's a fan and is watching you, and you get to know each other and you form a real relationship, that's one thing. But like I feel
right.
like I feel like people who are actively searching members of their audience, which it's kind of clear he's doing that. It's really
He
bad.
is.
But aside from that, he also uses his platform to silence people, to make people afraid to speak up, to say anything. He has an army of sycophants and trolls that will disparage anyone who dares speak out against him. And all of that is very problematic behavior. And people need to be aware of that.
It seems like a lot of YouTubers do this as
Right.
well. I find it really interesting to see all of these stories come out, and it's all the same story
True.
every single time, over and over and over again.
This platform is a valuable tool, but it is also dangerous. And I think a lot of people don't realize. Exactly, Jay Troido in the chat. Power corrupts, absolutely. That's the fucking problem. You have power, like a lot of people are gonna like be tempted by that power, and I'm not saying that fucking excuses it, because it doesn't. Because there are people who have power who don't use it in that way, and if they can resist, why can't you, bitch? Like, holy shit. And this is why, like, this needs to be talked about, because when we need to remember that when we give someone a platform and we build them up and we allow them to have this kind of power and influence, we're giving them the ability to influence people, and that needs to be there needs to be checks and balances there needs to be accountability. We can't just give people power and let them run wild with it. We got to hold people accountable, and unfortunately the system doesn't hold people accountable enough. I want to I want to actually read off some statistics before I get into the questions.
Okay.
So and this is about specifically rape cases, but like, and there's Ben has been accused of a wide range of various different things. I believe some of the things we go into will touch upon this, but this is to give you guys a broader idea, okay, of the situation. I know there's a lot of people talking about like, oh, false accusations can ruin someone's life and blah, 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 which it can. But here's the other thing. Rape is woefully, criminally underreported. Rape cases that are reported rarely go to trial. On average, only about 13 of 1,000 will get to a prosecutor. That's a 1.3% chance that your case will go in front of someone that will even deem the case, whether it's worthy or not, to go to court. Then, out of those, only about 7 out of 13 actually go to court. The odds of seeing your rapist in court drops to a 0.7%. Then, out of that 0.7%, only 18% get convicted, making the finally likelihood of anything happening a 0.126% chance. A lot of people say, oh, well, just report it to the police and then it's done. Unfortunately, that's not good enough, because it's very clear that as far as police are concerned, rape cases or abuse cases are just more paperwork. It never gets looked into, and a lot of the times it can't get looked into, because if you're on a date with someone and they coerce you or force you into having sex against your will, how do you prove it? What if, and I know there's the fucking conservative meme of, oh, report it right away, otherwise it's your own fault, because then you can do a rape kit. Well, what if they force you to suck their fucking dick? How do you prove that? I'm not saying just believe all women without any skepticism, but take these stories into account, and especially when there are multiple people coming out with similar stories. To me, that adds a hell of a lot more weight. So I just want people to get that in perspective before we move on, and before I hear any fucking trolls saying shit in bad faith. All right? This kind of shit needs to get talked about, because unfortunately, that's how it is with a lot of Me Too cases. You can go report it to the police and nothing happens. So people have to come forward and be public and talk about what happened, so that more people who had the same thing happen to them can come forward and be public. Because honestly, this is the thing, where there's smoke, there's fire. And normally when one of these cases comes out, if there's something there, more people are going to come out, because it's very rare when someone like this will just do this to just one person. And if they do anyway, then that doesn't lend itself to the idea of a pattern of behavior. And I still have a problem with it, but not as big of a problem as I do with someone who is continually doing this sort of thing. It needs to be stopped. If someone made a mistake in the past, I'd be willing to forgive them. But when it's clear that someone is continually doing these things, something needs to be done. Someone needs to be held to accountability. So, I guess that's all I wanted to say to open. Are you ready to get to the questions, Taylor?
Sure.
All right. You're doing good. We're we're ready. Okay. So, I guess did you have something to say before we start?
Nope. Sorry.
Right.
I'm ready.
No problem. Okay. So, I guess the first question would be, how did you first hear of Ben?
Okay. So I was working for the state of Louisiana, and I had pretty much a desk job. I sat at the computer a lot. I had 3 monitors, and so I started watching YouTube, started watching TJ's content. I had watched him when I was younger. He helped me to come out to my parents as an atheist.
Nice.
And so I started watching him again, and there was a video that he put up on his channel as well as, there was a video that he put up of DP. And I didn't know what that was. And I I was going through some of his videos that I hadn't caught up with yet, kind of just like watching every single one of them or listening to them while I was working. And the election was coming up, and he put out some sort of ad or whatever for it. And so I was like, well, I mean, I'm not really into podcasts or whatever, but I really like watching his stuff right now. I was just watching it constantly. So I'm like, I'll just check out this. I ended up watching their election night coverage, and I thought it was great. I was really surprised how much I liked it. And after that, I just kind of binge watched their show. And I guess that's how I found out about him. I mainly watched for TJ's commentary. I ended up really liking Scotty and the different characters that they had that involved him. I liked Paul a lot. I didn't really think anything of Ben. I thought his laugh was pretty funny. But he was more kind of just like a background person.
Right.
So wasn't really like the star of the show or whatever, but that's how I found him.
Right. I have a very similar story when it comes to discovering TJ and DP and Ben and all of this, so I can definitely relate there.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that election coverage was awesome.
Oh, that was a great stream.
Oh my gosh,
it
was so great.
I was posting it everywhere. I was like, everyone needs to watch this. This is amazing.
You know, if you go on my Twitter, my very first tweet, you'd have to do a lot of scrolling, but my very, very first tweet was actually from that day.
Damn.
I think it was my birthday, actually, because my birthday is very close to election day. My birthday is November 9th. Cool. And my very first tweet, which is funny now because I'm married to Scotty, but my first tweet was congratulating TJ for winning. He hates that. I told him about that the other day. I was like, my first tweet is this.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, but so.
But no, I definitely, TJ helped me become, becoming an atheist and being more open and honest about it, and that's why the show appealed to me as well. And
right.
It was a different environment than I was ever used to, and I enjoyed it.
I felt like I was listening to a bunch of friends,
right?
A bunch of my friends talking while I was working, so
right.
it was good, and they're long too, so I could watch and there were so many of them, so I just have them playing in the background while I'm like on Excel or whatever.
Yeah, I would do that while I was working too.
Yep.
Standing out in the sun, holding a fucking sign in front of a pizza shop. Fucking terrible, but hey, I got to listen to DP.
Yeah, DP got me through a lot of boring, monotonous work activities. I was in the Army, so
right.
I would when I would go, because I was in the National Guard, I would go and I would wash dishes instead of pretending to do shit like the other. I don't know, that's a whole nother story, National Guard. But I would go and wash dishes literally for like 8 hours. I just go to drill and I just go wash dishes, and I would I just have their show like playing in my earbuds, and I don't know, made the day go by fast. Right. So anyway,
yeah. So it definitely, like, the show definitely had appeal, and I can see why you found interest in it. So I guess that answers the second question of what attracted you to the content. Or does it?
Well, I mean, kinda, yeah. Let's see. Well, I guess what really attracted me to it was the fact, I mean, I did watch TJ, so I got a little bit of something different from what I had in my home life.
Right.
I grew up in a really small town, very conservative, very Republican. My family is Christian, Republican, and that I had never heard people talk like they did.
Right.
And I just found them so different and unique and interesting. And I felt like somebody was finally saying all the stuff that I couldn't really put into words.
Right.
All the things that I felt.
Definitely.
I mean, not always, but a lot of the times,
sure.
you know.
Every once in a while, you hear something and it just fucking resonates with you. It's like, yes, that exactly, 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just excited to have somebody put into words how I felt and in a way that I couldn't do myself. So but that's what attracted me to it.
All right. So okay. So when it came to Ben, how did you first meet him, and how did he contact you? How did you first come in contact?
Well, my brother was in the army and he lived in Colorado at the time. He was stationed there, and I was planning on going on a trip with them there.
Okay.
I had seen that that DP was having a meetup in New Mexico, and I'm like,
Base.
well, that seems pretty close. That seems close enough to where I could make a detour and maybe go. And so I put on Facebook. They had some kind of Facebook meetup thing.
Right.
And I put on there that I was interested in going. Not that I was, but that I was interested in, because I didn't really know if I could go.
Yeah.
No,
I did that too a few times. Never
yeah.
went.
It was very, very soon afterwards that I got a message from someone named Benjamin Kirk. And I didn't know who it was. Like, I don't know. I didn't really get that many messages on Facebook. Now, mind you, I had just gotten divorced, so I would get messages like from people from high school, like dudes that were trying to hit me up or whatever. Right. But I saw that. I'm like, is that? I mean, TJ's last name is Kirk. Who is Benjamin Kirk? And I clicked on there and it said like hello with a smiley face. I'm like, what the fuck? And I messaged back something like, who is this? And he sent me a photo of himself, and it was the dude from the podcast. I'm like, is this Ben from the Drunken Peasants? And he was like, yes, smiley face. I'm like, what the hell? And to me, like, my first thought was, why is this guy messaging me? Like,
that's kind of weird. That's a weird way to introduce yourself
it wasn't
to someone.
weird. It wasn't weird to me then.
Right.
I was just very confused because I was like, I'm just this girl in this small town, and like, what? Because DP,
fuck am I
mean,
how do you know who I am? What?
If these people don't know, like, DP was huge then.
Right.
It was huge. And so, like, I've never had something like that happen. Like, I felt invisible, you know?
Right.
I mean, I was just like dumbfounded that he would even message me, and he proved to me that it was. I was like, I don't know. I don't, like, you might have just gotten this image from the internet or something.
Right.
I don't know how this works. And I guess it just like went from there. So
so okay, yeah, so that
but yeah, I did not reach out to him.
Right.
I didn't even know he had a Facebook.
That is kind of weird looking back. I actually have a tangential question. Do you have any idea why the fuck he still goes by Benjamin Kirk? Like,
I have no idea, and he really needs to take it down. And I know you're watching this, Ben. It's really fucking weird that you have my family's last name as your last name. You are in no way related to us at all. And I really am not comfortable, especially with the things that you do,
right.
With you having our last name and acting like you're in some way related to us.
It's really weird and creepy, especially since, like, I take it he's not a huge fan of TJ and Scotty anymore. Like, why does he want their name? Like, that doesn't even make sense to me.
I have no idea.
But yeah,
and I didn't know then, and I didn't ask him. At first, I thought he was related to them. Maybe I was like, maybe he's like a cousin or something, or I don't really know.
Yeah, it's really weird. Yeah, coattail riding, probably.
Perhaps.
All right, so let's see. In the beginning, Okay, in the beginning, were you interested in him, or was he interested in? Well, he was interested in you. How did he try and make his interests known, or how soon did he make his interests known?
Pretty quickly. Yeah. I- it's really hard because I mean, I don't have the messages anymore. I don't even use Facebook. But in the beginning, it was, I mean, I wasn't like super attracted to him. But I didn't think he was, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think he was bad either.
Right.
But he,
Were you just more like starstruck to like meet him?
I mean, really, yeah. I was just like, it just felt like I kind of felt special. I was
Right.
just like, why the hell is he talking to me? But he made it quickly known that he was interested in me. He was very interested in the fact that I was coming to the meetup, or he thought I was. I eventually told him, like I had told him that I wanted to go, like I was interested in go, like I said, I had put interested in, but I didn't really want to go. I'm not really good at going to parties and stuff. I'm not really interested in that kind of thing. So, um, he was interested in getting me to go somewhere else with him since I wasn't coming to the meetup.
Right.
Um, I mean, I guess I did learn things afterwards of him having another girl at that meetup anyways. So maybe that's why he didn't care that I wasn't going to it. To be honest, I just didn't like, I didn't know how I was going to act. I didn't want to be weird. Like I didn't know what these, like how these people were going to be. And so he was, I don't know. Um, uh, um,
It's all right. Take your time.
no, sorry. It's just, I know that he was trying to get me to go to a different city. Like they had said that they were going to Santa Fe,
Right.
and I had never been outside my hometown, but I don't know. I guess I was just kind of starstruck. I feel like I really would have done anything.
Right. I mean, I can feel that, and I understand like that starstruck feeling. I mean, my God, I got it just when TJ gave me a wrench in his chat, and I was like, "Holy fuck, TJ knows who I am." And honestly, I would have done anything TJ had asked me to at that point too. I would have been like, "Oh my God," if TJ was like, "Hey, send me a picture of your dick," I'd be like, "Okay." I'm like, probably wouldn't have done that, but you probably wouldn't have asked either. But yeah, so I know what you mean. Like when it's someone famous and someone you've like, especially someone who's like on a show that you really enjoy, it's like, holy shit, this person's talking to me. This person's like interested in me. Like, wow. It makes you want to like impress them. It makes you not want to disappoint them almost.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So I just feel like, God, if he would have asked me to go to a different country, I would have found out a way to do it, you
Right.
know? And it's so weird because, if he was just some guy from my hometown and he was exactly the way he was, I don't even know if I would have paid attention to him, you know?
Yeah,
I think that's the danger of YouTube is that
it really is.
because this person had so many followers, I was willing to do whatever. I mean, I was also very young and I had just gone through a divorce with my best friend that I was married to. I mean, I don't know. I feel like maybe it was like the fact that I had never been an adult that was single,
Right.
And so I was just like, maybe this is what, adults do. I don't know. Like maybe they just go to fucking Santa Fe on a whim to meet a guy from the internet who found me and he's got this podcast and stuff. And
I know some adults
so
that do things like that, but not everybody.
I don't advise it.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. I guess to continue then, so while you were in contact with him online, did he ever ask you to do anything that made you uncomfortable?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you wanna... Hmm?
I had never really sent anyone like risque photos or whatever,
Right.
but I felt very much pressured to do so, and I did. Um, I'm not like somebody that's very comfortable with my own body, or
I can understand that.
I I generally dress pretty conservatively. That's never been something I've ever been comfortable with, but I definitely felt pressured to do so.
Right. I mean, again, like he was a famous person to you, and he was like, "Yeah, do this," and
Yeah, he sent me his personal Snapchat. So,
of course it was on Snapchat.
yeah.
uh, so is that like how often would he pressure you for those things?
It felt more it was very pressured at first. But then I was more willing to do so,
Right. I mean, once
I
the
guess,
Band-Aid's
as
ripped
like we
off.
talked more. Yeah. You know what? The other thing that made me feel uncomfortable was just how often he wanted to talk late at night and stuff, but never on the weekends.
Hmm.
And so that always at this point I hadn't gone to meet him yet, but it felt very strange to me already. Um, I worked like 13-hour days.
Right.
And it was just like he would want me to talk later and later. I know the time difference or whatever, but
Right.
mhm.
So, by the way, I guess to answer the person in the chat who's wondering, what do you mean by pressured? So did he just ask? I'm assuming he would ask and you would say no. Like what would he like specifically say to like convince you at
So
first?
what do I mean by pressured? Um, I guess it's kind of hard to explain, but um, I don't. It's just like a feeling you get, it's kind of like what we were talking about before, just like how somebody is famous in my mind. That's how I felt he was. And they're saying that, oh, I'd like to see you like this or whatever, and it's like, oh, well, I should do it.
Right.
I don't feel comfortable doing it, but I should just do it. Now, obviously, now as I'm older, now I would never do that. But as a 21-year-old, yeah, I might. Like I said, it's not like somebody. It's not like a pressure. Like, oh, you really need to do this.
Right.
It's more like the expectation, like you should.
Right. Like it's very hard to say no.
Like you would please me if you did this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the kind of pressure. I don't know. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, that's the thing. And as the chat there says, a couple people seem to know. Yes, Ben is super passive aggressive, and especially especially when someone is like seems to be really like again they're a celebrity to you. They're a YouTube star, and you're like, whoa, like this person wants to see me naked. This person and it's like, I mean, I can understand that. It's like I don't know how much I want to do this, but like this person is asking, like,
Right.
am I gonna throw away this opportunity? Like you're young, you don't like, it's hard to stand up for yourself or even know that you should.
I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea. The first time I got married, I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
Having my first kid, I had no idea what I was doing.
I mean, Most young people in general don't know what the fuck they're doing. That's why, personally, I'm in favor of raising the age of consent to, like, 21. Honestly. Like, I feel like a lot of young people get into a lot of really fucked up situations, get taken advantage of by older people. And that's another thing. I mean, Ben was quite a bit older than you, which probably made it a little bit harder to say no.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, what was the age difference?
I was 21 and he was, God, I don't know, maybe 38 or something. I don't know. How old is he now? I have no idea. I know he was in his late 30s, very late 30s.
Yeah, that's, again, while not...
Definitely, I had never had a guy that old.
Right.
To be honest, I was like, there was something about it that was cool to me. Like, wow, like this older person is really interested in me, you know, like I must be like very mature.
Well, that's one of the big reasons why I have a problem with relationships with such big age differences, because I feel like there's that weird dynamic and it can allow people who are older to take advantage.
I'm sorry, he just turned 40. So,
okay.
So when was 2017? However old that would have been.
I was, God damn it, I'm terrible at math.
I know, me too. That's why I said that.
That's like 4 years ago. So he was at least like 36.
Yeah, Scotty and I, actually, our third anniversary is it's on May the 12th. So a couple days. And we got married almost exactly a year after we got together. So, so he was 36, 37.
Nice. Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Maybe somewhere around there. It doesn't matter. Late 30s.
Right. Okay. So we can move on to the next question then.
Right.
Let's see. When did you first meet up with him in person?
So like I said, there was supposed to be that Albuquerque meetup or whatever. And he said that they were going to be in Santa Fe for like 4 days or something like that. And that I should come and see him. I had now, mind you, I was very, very, very broke. I had 2 kids. One of them was a little baby. One was a year old. And I got my tax return back and I was like, okay, you know, I've never been somewhere like this. I'm just going to do it.
Right.
And I told my family. Of course, they watched my kids. And at the time, I didn't tell Ben that I had kids. I was not going to get them involved. I don't get my kids involved in anything on the internet. And I didn't really know him. So I was like, you know, I'm not going to whatever. But anyway, so he suggested that I fly out to Santa Fe and stay at the same hotel as him, which was the La Fonda on the Plaza. It's a really nice hotel. Santa Fe has like this beautiful square plaza in the middle of the, I guess you would call it like downtown area. And so I booked a hotel, I booked the flight. I was like, I was so nervous. He was really nice. He was really nice to me then, honestly. Right. So I was kind of excited to go. I didn't feel worried about my safety or anything like that. He was really polite. And so I was like, okay, I'll just go to it. Now I will tell you, my family was not happy about it at all. I had to recently move in with them after I got divorced, because I was working for the state, but I was only making like $1,800 a month or something. I couldn't afford rent or anything. And I told them I was going to do this, and they said that it didn't seem like a good idea. They said he was way too old. My dad was really not happy about it. My dad seemed like, now they're not people to tell me what to do really, but my dad, for really the first time seemed concerned about my safety, to the point where they were asking what his first and last name is, like, what is his phone number, what are his parents' names, like, where does he live, where are you staying, what's their phone number, we want all this information.
And I'm guessing you didn't even have most of that information, right?
I mean, like, he did give me some of it, because I told him, I was just like, oh, my family's just, they're wacko, whatever. They're crazy.
Right.
They're very concerned. And, my mom's a cop and stuff. So he did give most of it to me. Some of it, I was like, oh, that's a little too personal. I'm not going to ask him. I don't want to seem weird. So, so I drove 3 hours to the Dallas airport and, flew out from there to Santa Fe and took an Uber to the hotel. I was scared shitless. I was just like, oh my God, like, I've never done this before.
Right.
Checked in. And what's weird is that he never, ever texted me, like, on my phone, ever. He did have my phone number, but he never texted me on my phone. And that was one of the few times that he did, was to say, like, oh, I'm in this room. Like, he had always used Facebook Messenger or Snapchat.
Right.
He asked me if I got there, and I told him just to give me a minute, and I would head to his room to actually meet him before we went walking around. He had asked, he and I had, like, talked about all the things we were going to do before I arrived. It was, Santa Fe is a really beautiful city. It's got, like, a lot of old churches. The architecture's really cool. They've got, like, I think they have the world's, or not the world's, but maybe the US's oldest house. They've got the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum and stuff. So I was really excited to go and do all of that.
Yeah, Santa Fe's cool.
Yeah, it was cool, actually. Yeah, it was. But and all of that, the only thing was that the only thing I was not excited for was actually meeting him
Right.
in person. I was just so nervous about it.
I feel like that is maybe kind of a bit of a red flag right there, where it's just like you already weren't, like, because if you were interested in him, or, like, trying to like had some attraction to him, you would have been like, oh, I can't wait to meet Ben, But it sounds almost like it felt more like an obligation for you.
I don't know if it. I don't think so. I think it was more just like I I was in my hotel room and I was, like, sweating, like, I'm just like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I should do this. I was the whole time I was just thinking, I need to go back home. I need to go back home. Like, this is just something. It wasn't like the town or whatever that made me feel weird. The town was actually very beautiful,
Right.
and all the people were really, really welcoming.
No, but it sounds like the Ben aspect of the trip was kind of like an
Yeah.
obligation. Or it's like, I'm excited to go here and see this stuff, but, like, I also
Yeah.
have to see Ben.
Yeah.
And I'm not
I
saying
mean, I
necessarily
was.
that's like, no, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, like, I was interested in him, obviously. Like, we talked, just constantly before meeting up with him, but it was like, I think a part of me just wanted it all to stay online, if that's what this
Right.
was going to be or whatever. And I would just find somebody in my own hometown, somebody comfortable. I had never met anybody online, like, and met up with them or whatever. So this was, I didn't even start using Amazon until I met Scotty. You know what I mean? Like, this internet stuff was all very
Right.
new to me. And so maybe it had to do with him, maybe it didn't, but everything felt very wrong to me.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if it was him or, like, what we had talked about before, but I just felt so nervous about it. And, but I did end up going to the hotel room and meeting him. and it was awkward. It was very awkward.
Right.
I must have sat in my hotel room because I had told him I was there, and I was like, "Oh, just give me a minute." But I must have sat in my hotel room for like an hour before I actually ended up getting the nerve to leave. I don't
Damn.
know if I was just self-conscious or what, but it took a very long time to get out of the room.
I mean,
But
it
I
would
did.
honestly. I think it sounds like a very weird way to meet a person like that. Anyway, like I feel there would be less tension if like maybe he suggested meeting in public or something, like not like come to my hotel room. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of really that gets like I don't know about you, but I would feel like if I was in that exact situation, I would feel almost like, am I his escort? Am I supposed to come to his room, fuck
Yeah.
him, and leave?
That's,
Like,
I think it would have been a lot easier to meet somewhere else. I didn't even think about it that way actually until just now.
right.
um, yeah, I don't know why we didn't meet in a public place. Um,
Probably more
but
down to Ben's being secretive. He does have a very secretive nature.
yeah, I learned that later.
Right.
I didn't know that at the time. I guess I'm just trying to put myself in that headspace of Ben. So, but yeah, I did meet him.
Right. So, okay. So what was he like once you met him? Like, what was it like being with him? What was the first few interactions with him like? Sorry?
Yeah, in person. Well, I mean, when I first met him, I noticed immediately that he was shorter than he said.
Hmm.
Which isn't a problem. I don't really care about that, but I guess that's the first red flag that he's a liar.
It's a weird lie. Like, people are gonna find
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty tall for a woman. I'm 5'9".
Damn.
With my boots, I'm like getting close to like 5'10" and a half. And he was considerably shorter than me, which was weird because he said he was 5'9",
Hmm.
and I don't know. That was the first thing I noticed. I'm not saying that
Kind
to
of weird.
disparage anybody. I don't think short people. I'm perfectly
No,
attracted
of
to shorter
course not.
people. That wasn't it. It was just that like I didn't know why he lied about it.
Right. It's a weird lie.
Um, it was, yeah. I wouldn't have cared. But I guess like the first interactions was, I mean, and when he wasn't looking at his phone, and I guess I'll get into that. But he was genuinely like sweet. He was really nice. He seemed to care about me. I mean, we were constantly talking. Um, I mean, it was weird because like I was so nervous, but then I wasn't. Like he was really good at talking, to me, and I always felt like we had something to talk about. I think probably me watching DP kind of helped with that
Right.
because I feel like I already kind of knew his conversation style. But unfortunately, the DP Facebook group drama thing happened. So I guess like maybe a day or so into my trip, the Facebook group like broke down into chaos because there was a picture of Ben that got put online with him with his shirt off, I think. And the mods in the Facebook group, like they just started disintegrating, and Ben was just like left like cleaning up their mess, I guess.
What was the big deal of him having there being a picture with his shirt off? Like why was that like a big crisis?
I don't know. I think maybe he's self-conscious or something. I didn't really see the issue with it. Like I was very confused because I felt like I was there to meet him and
Right.
everything, but he spent a lot of the time on his phone, like a
Hmm.
lot of it. And I mean, it was just like, I guess Ben didn't like that they were making fun of him because I know some people were. Pretty much the whole trip, he was obsessed with it, was constantly talking about it.
Hmm. That's it's kind of weird. I don't know why he would like freak out about that. Like maybe that has to do with his being more secretive, or do you think it has to do with he's just self-conscious, and he's just like, I don't want people seeing with my shirt off, because it's kind of, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I've thought.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why. It didn't like, it didn't look like a bad picture to me. I mean,
Right.
I guess maybe he deleted it and stuff, but like then it became, I don't know, the Facebook, the DP Facebook group back in the day was like huge for one. But I think people got mad because of the fact that he was deleting like people's comments and banning people and getting rid of mods. And
Huh.
I don't remember everything about it because I didn't personally care. I didn't even know why he cared, because it just kind of seemed like that was part of the community, was like shitting on the host occasionally. So,
Huh.
but I know he was,
Yeah, that's
I mean, that's what he was doing the whole trip mainly.
damn.
Now we went to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, which was very nice. A lot of it was just going to go see historical stuff around the area, and he was really knowledgeable on a lot of it, so that part was always good. But for most of it, it kind of felt like I was going around the city, with either him ahead or him behind, like on the phone.
Right. So I guess I should ask you then, on that first trip,
hmm
did you sleep with him? And if so, what was that like? What was the story? If you wouldn't mind telling it.
Oof, that's hard.
It's all right. Take your time.
Okay. Um, I did. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I was sexual towards him, obviously. He had made it seem like this was going to be some sort of relationship.
Right.
And so there were moments or whatever that happened. But there's really only one that I can think of that is very memorable, and it's one that I really can't even remember. Um,
It's all right. You can take your
so,
time. Do you want to?
oh, it's okay. Um, so I guess I'll have to get into some of the trip before I get to it, but
All right.
yeah, I kind of just like to, I guess, just go in order of everything.
Okay. No,
Um,
fair enough. Go in whichever order you like. I
okay.
know some of these questions are in a weird order, but
Yeah, it's okay.
oh, I guess I should have asked you first. Would he push you to drink or take drugs? Because I know you mentioned that. Do you want to? Would it be helpful
Oh,
to start with that?
sure, sure. Yeah, so like I said, I was in the army. I obviously could not smoke weed.
Right.
Um, I am not a heavy drinker. In fact, I don't drink alcohol at all. I in the past 4 years, I may have had in total, like at my house, a total of 3 beers, and 3 beers being like taking a sip from each one of them. I don't even like the taste of alcohol.
Right.
The only
Yeah, it's
times I
gross.
have, yeah, I'm not a huge fan at all. I've never really have been. I haven't smoked weed in months. It doesn't work for me. It makes me too anxious.
Hmm.
I'm a nicotine person through and through. I'll say that. And coffee.
Oh, fair enough.
But I definitely felt pressured to drink. I definitely felt pressured to smoke weed. I mean, the very first day that I got there, there was this pizza place. You had to walk a little bit down from the La Fonda to, God, what was that place called? It was like some kind of rooftop pizzeria place. And that's where we went first, like for lunch and everything. And I know he had told me that he was like a big fan of beers and everything. He was showing me the whole beer list, and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't even want this. But he's like, oh, you have to try this. Oh, I know that. Oh, they make these in Albuquerque and blah, 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 blah. Like, you really need to try this. I'm like, okay. And it was just kind of always like that. Oh, well, you tried that one. You need to try this one.
Right.
And I did. I told him, I'm like, I'm not really, I'm not really into that. Now, a part of me wanted to like just be agreeable and be like, oh yeah, this is great.
Right.
But I told him I'm not really a beer person. I'm not really an alcohol person either.
Right.
During the trip, he also he told me in his hotel room at some point, he was like, oh, you know what's so crazy? We're so famous that the doorman at the hotel gave me a giant bag of weed. We should smoke some. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. I guess I really can't though. So that's a problem. Oh, you'll be fine. It only shows up. You don't even smoke, so it's not going to show up in your hair or whatever. Like it'll go away in like 7 days. And I'm stupid. So I was so naive. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine.
I have heard it can go away that quickly. It usually takes
yes,
a little bit
I mean,
longer,
it actually can. And it's funny because I did end up getting drug tested very shortly after, and
Damn.
it did not show up.
Well,
Yeah, it
that's
did
good.
not show up. I got drug tested 10 days after that, and it did not show up at all. So,
Okay.
I mean, there is that. But I was very uncomfortable with all of it because, like, it was just like the last time I had smoked weed was when I was a teenager, and I didn't like doing it then. But so yeah, he did.
Okay.
Very much so, constantly.
So wait, let's see. I think. Okay, the next question is, yeah. So, what did he ever force himself on you, or?
It's, I mean, it's kind of hard to say because it's weird because like this is the most disturbing memory I have of him, and it's the one that has been around with me for years and it just doesn't ever really seem to go away. But I guess it was like the second or third evening, Ben took me to this place called the Coyote Cafe. Mind you, this entire trip, he kept talking about how much money he had, what a nice car he had. Mm-hmm. Every time we went, there was this jewelry store that was really close to La Fonda, and he was like, I could buy you that. Do you want me to buy you that? And I'm like, no. It was so weird because it was just like the way he talked about himself. It was, I mean, if he knew me at all, he would know that that kind of stuff is not, I don't wear jewelry.
Right.
I don't, like, I'm not a fancy person. A fucking redneck from northern Louisiana, you know, like that's not me. And again, he did it by taking me to this place, the Coyote Cafe, crazy upscale place. I felt super uncomfortable there. I felt really out of place. And you know, like we went in there and he was talking about how much money again he had, and like this will be a regular thing with him, as if it was like to impress me. But he asked me to look over the wine list, and the wine list was so extensive. I mean, they had a book. And I looked at the prices and I'm just like, no way, dude. Like, this is like $30 for a glass, like crazy stuff.
Damn.
And like I said, I had told him that I'm not like a heavy drinker or whatever, but I would take one.
Right.
And I will occasionally, like me and Scotty will occasionally get like a bottle of wine or something and we'll drink like a glass, but that's about all I can do.
Right.
Um but that one turned into several really quickly. I remember, and it's really interesting now thinking back on it, but I remember going to the bathroom and thinking to myself on the way to there, like, I don't know, what if something happens to my drink or something? Which is a
Right.
weird thought for me to have because, I mean, as Scotty would say, I'm just entirely too trusting of people.
I mean, as a
But it
woman, you
was,
kind of do have to worry about that.
yeah. And I've only had that thought a couple times, like at a bar or whatever, but like, like I said, I don't drink. So it's like, that's not really a thing for me to have to worry about.
Right.
Um, but like I've been to meetups with Scotty and I'm like, oh, I should not leave my drink somewhere or a fan's going to do something weird.
Right.
It's so funny because like the fans would be the least likely to do it.
Right.
But I remember thinking that, and that was one of the last really things that I remembered. The very last moment that I remember was the center plaza area of Santa Fe has like these trees that are all lit up. Like they have like wrapped lights around them and stuff, or at least they did at this time.
Right.
And I remember like him basically having to drag me through the center plaza of Santa Fe, like holding on to me to keep me steady and stuff. And I was saying out loud, like, oh, these trees are so pretty. I want to climb them. I want to like jump off of them. Like they're so tall and beautiful. And I can remember him laughing while he was like getting me to the hotel and stuff. And then I just don't remember anything at all. I guess I blacked out. I don't really know. That was like the last thing that I remembered. I woke up inside of his hotel room and not in mine. I felt really sick. I was wearing all of my clothes, which was weird. He was asleep with like his shirt off and stuff. I remember my boots were still on, which was weird. There was a trash can next to the bed, and it had used like sex items in them, like a condom, and
It's all right.
yeah,
Take your time.
it's
Do you think that you blacked out because of something he gave you, or were you just blackout drunk?
I don't really know.
Was this the night that you smoked weed as well?
I mean, I think we had smoked weed like multiple times. It's really hard to remember if I smoked weed or not, but that wouldn't have affected me like that. I would have been super anxious. I mean,
Do you
I mean, maybe, but I just like, I know that like Santa Fe is really high up. And
Right.
so at the time, well, when I came to, I just felt fucking gross and used. And I was like, I felt bad about myself. Like, oh my God, like I slept with this dude and I was so drunk. And I don't know, I was like, for that moment, I felt like I had done this to myself. you know, like, oh, I fucked up, and oh, that's so, oh, he's gonna think so bad of me because I was so drunk. My first thought wasn't, this man used me while I was drunk. My first thought was, he's going to think I'm so bad because I was drunk. You know what I mean?
Right.
I remember I walked back to my hotel, like to my hotel room. I got out of there. He was sleeping. So, I went to my hotel room, took a really long shower, and I just felt kind of like numb. I didn't really feel like anything. And I've had it explained to me that I could have possibly been roofied.
Right.
I don't really know.
It sounds similar to a roofing situation, especially with you being like clearly high out of your mind and then not remembering anything else past like, oh, look at the pretty trees. Like that sounds very familiar to like a lot of like roofie cases that I've heard. But you could also have just been blackout, high and drunk. It's hard to tell one way or another.
It really is hard to tell.
Mhm.
And you know, I didn't really think, I'll say this, I didn't really think at that moment that he had done something wrong to me. It took
Right.
me, I knew that, now I guess we'll get into the later stuff or whatever, but I knew later on that he was a bad person, that he had treated me really badly.
Right.
And that that will get, I guess, more clear later. But that moment has really stuck out to me because as a older person now, as someone who is more wise to this type of thing, I think about my daughter, and if this had happened to her, like, and I thought to myself, like, would I think that that was okay? And like, is that like a person, is what Ben did to me something that someone who loved her would do to her and I would think it was okay?
Right.
And the answer is no. I can tell you this. Scotty and I have been together for 4 years. He's probably the only person I've ever really loved, and he would never do that to me. Never.
Well,
And for someone to think that it was okay to do that to a drunk person who is so out of their mind that they're talking about trees being pretty and, oh, I want to jump off of them, and oh, they're
right.
so fucked up, you know, and you're having to drag me to the hotel. It's not okay.
It's not. It's really
And I had to
not.
realize later on that I was raped. And it was such a hard thing because, like, I was like, well, I had done other things with him, you know, like maybe it really wasn't me, you know, because after that, like, I still kissed him after that. We still did stuff. But it doesn't, you know, now I realize that it doesn't really matter.
Right.
What happens before or after doesn't change the fact that that happened, you know, so, but, that's the only time I can think of that anything was forced onto me.
Did you ever talk about that night later with Ben?
Yeah, I did. And I, actually right after I got out of my hotel room, I went like back because I spent a good while in my hotel room. I don't remember, I mean, it's been years. I don't remember what time I went back, but I know I did go back, obviously. And I just told him that I felt really bad and I didn't know if anything had happened or whatever. And I was just very confused. Because as I was, you know, I'd gone to take a shower, whatever else, I guess I started to rationalize to myself like oh, everything's fine, you know, like oh, it's all good. You just need to go talk to him, go sort itself out, whatever. And again, at the time, I didn't think that I had been assaulted. Like I felt like I had done something wrong. So,
Right.
but I remember talking to him, and there was like this book in the like, well, it was like a pamphlet, whatever you call it. There was like a pamphlet in the hotel room that was talking about altitude sickness, and he showed me that, and he was like, "Oh, you know, with altitude sickness, one drink is like 2, and 3 drinks is like 6." And
Where did he get that altitude sickness pamphlet? Did he just have it?
no, it was in the hotel room.
Okay.
It came with the room. Like that's a frequent. I mean, I don't know how high above it is, like 10,000 feet or something. It's pretty high. It's enough to make you like get winded if you walk a lot. But later on, like years later, I had to realize like even if 2 means 4, I've drank way more than that. Like Scotty and I got the one time that I've really gotten really fucked up was at the DP meetup in Seattle, and I can tell you I had way more than that with Scotty.
Right.
And I did not black out
Right.
at all. I can remember every moment of that night, including Scotty telling me, and mind you, we'd only been together a couple months, but Scotty telling the Uber driver we had that he was, oh, I'm going to marry this girl. I'm going to marry this girl. He was so drunk. He's like, I'm going to marry this girl, I swear. And I was like, oh my God, really? I was like, oh, that's crazy.
That's sweet.
Yeah, it is. But I did not black out.
Right. And how many drinks did you have that night? You said it was just wine, right?
Yeah, it was wine. It was either 2 or 3 glasses of insert expensive wine here.
Would not make you black out, even with like weed. Like I really you'd have to be the biggest lightweight in the fucking world. Like I don't. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Did he ever address or allude to or anything about whether or not you had a sexual encounter with him that night?
Wait, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
Did he ever mention or address or allude to any kind of a sexual encounter you might have had with him that night? Or did he deny it?
No, I don't think he denied it. He acted like it was consensual.
Right. Okay.
And so I just assumed that it was. I was like, wow, I did some crazy stuff when I was drunk.
Right.
So, but I mean, clearly he was not so drunk that, I mean, because he, like I said, he was having to carry me basically through the plaza. So he couldn't have been that drunk. But he just kind of made it seem like we were both very drunk and, you know, so.
Okay.
That's just kind of how he described it.
Right. Okay. So I guess after that first visit, how did how were your feelings about the whole thing?
Well, I guess I'll get into actually I'd like to talk about a little bit more about what happened at Santa Fe.
Okay. Go ahead.
There's just like a couple of things that I think are kind of important. So it was like a couple of days before I got there, but I had watched a stream with Chelsea.
Right.
I'd never met her, but she was doing some kind of, I think Periscope was big at the time. And I was thinking I was going to meet her because he had said before, like, oh, you're going to meet everybody. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like,
Right.
awesome. And so I was watching her. I was, trying to get a little feel of how she is. So maybe it'd be easier to talk to her. I don't know.
Right.
but they were in San Antonio, Texas. They had gone to the Royal Rumble before the meetup. And someone had mentioned something about Ben to her on her stream, and she had said something along the lines of, oh, something, he's with one of his many sex dolls or something. And she was rolling her eyes, and she was just really upset of the fact that like somebody had mentioned him.
Right.
And I hadn't met Ben at this point. I was just about to go to Santa Fe, and I was just like, I had mentioned it to him. I'm like, what is she talking about with sex dolls? What does that mean? And he's not a super angry person, but that was one of the first times that I saw him get like angry about something. He was just talking about, oh, she's a bitch and blah blah blah, like she hates me. And he told me then, like, I think because we Skyped a couple times. He would only Skype me when he was in the DP studio, but while we were Skyping, he was just telling me about Ashley and Chelsea. And Ashley, being Paul's ex-girlfriend stuff, that like they were just, oh, they're just angry and they hate me for no reason. They're jealous. You know, Chelsea has a huge crush on him and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that's important because what she was trying to do was to warn people about him. So when I was there, I would see TJ and Paul and Scotty like out and about occasionally, but I would get steered away from them. Like Ben would like say like, oh, we need to go over here and do this thing. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I remember the one I remember the most was we were going through the hotel lobby and I saw all of them just like in the lobby. And I was like, oh, let's say hello. And Ben grabbed my shoulders like really hard. And like Paul opened up the front doors of the hotel and he was like, Ben. And then like Ben just like rushed me out of the hotel. It was very strange. And I was just like, I remember we like, after he had like pushed me out there, I'm like, shouldn't we go say hello or something? And he's like, no. I don't want to be around Chelsea and Ashley.
Kind of
And I'm
odd.
like, okay. Yeah, it was. He did not let me meet Paul at all. I did end up meeting TJ and Scotty. It was funny. It was really strange because it was like he was allowing me to meet them or whatever.
Right.
TJ was TJ, and he was smoking outside of the La Fonda, and I was like, I guess Ben had, Ben was talking to Scotty, and he was like, oh, this girl's from Louisiana and stuff, because he knows that they're from. And Scotty looked at TJ, and he's like, hey, she's from Louisiana. And TJ looked at me, and he was like, and then just kept smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, okay.
Sounds like TJ.
Well, yeah. I'm like, well, that's great. And Scotty was very nice. Scotty was like instantly talking to me and stuff, and we ended up going to this bar, and the whole time we were there, we walked in. First of all, we went and sat down at a table. Ben was looking at his phone, doing the Facebook group stuff.
Right.
And these old white people were singing "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey. And I don't know, like that was, Scotty tells me now that was like the moment that he knew he was going to marry me. Like I'm going to be with this girl. Because like, I don't know, it was almost like I was on a date that night with Scotty. Not like I was like there to see Ben. It was very strange, but really cool. I don't know. Ben was like at the edge of the table, like by himself, and me and Scotty had ended up sitting beside each other, and we were just making fun of these people. They were so drunk. I wasn't drinking anything, but they were so drunk, and me and Scotty were just like making fun of them, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours at this bar. The whole time Ben looked at his phone, you know, which was funny, but
right.
I don't know, talking to Scotty was like, I just knew him. Like I felt like I had known him forever. We ended up going back to the hotel, and we all hung out together in Ben's room. Ben, I mean, he talked occasionally, but he mostly sat on his bed and was like looking at Facebook or whatever. And that was the one time where I didn't really feel pressured to smoke weed. I don't know why, but I ended up doing it. And just chilling with Scotty, really. So that was another thing that happened. What else happened? I'm trying to think. Yeah. I was supposed to stay there for 3 days, but I ended up staying for 4, because I was having a good time. He had thoroughly convinced me that night after the Coyote Cafe was that was just perfectly fine, and I was very convinced that it was. He ended up paying. Now I did pay for my flight, but he ended up paying to switch my flight to the next day. And I guess OG DP fans would remember this, but I ended up paying him back by giving them super chats. I gave obscenely large super chats. Like I'd give like $80. The next day I'd give like $70, $100, $80. And I kept doing that until I paid him off. And I remember seeing the comments and people were like, oh damn, like Taylor's obsessed with one of these people. It was really me paying him back, because I felt very like I didn't like, for some reason I just didn't want to owe him money.
Right.
You know what I mean? And which is weird if like we're supposed to be in a relationship, but I was just like, oh, I feel so bad, and he wouldn't take the money, so I was like, I'll just send super chats instead. But go ahead.
Okay. No, I was gonna say, so was there anything else on that trip that you wanted to mention, or was that pretty much it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay. I guess we can go to the next point, which was, yeah, so what were your feelings after the whole trip? And how were things with Ben after the trip, and how did things proceed?
After the trip, it was, let's see, they did that meetup on January like 30th or 30, yeah, like something like that. I went there from February 2nd to like February the 5th. And after that, it was mainly like it was before. We would talk Monday through Friday, like messaging each other, occasionally Skyping. But it had to be like, I had to schedule the Skyping with him, and it had to be very, very late after the show. He would text me a lot during the show, which I felt was weird. But it was pretty normal at first. And then I guess in like March or something. Yeah, it was March. It was beginning of March. I got a message from Scotty on Facebook, because I had added him, because I was like, oh, I met him, I'll add him on Facebook.
Right.
And he messaged me, and he was like, oh, I remember you from whatever. He said something like, I think I remember you, which he told me later on. He was like, I definitely remembered you.
Right.
Yeah. And I ended up talking to him, and we just, it ended up like, it was almost like I was having to split my time texting between Ben and Scotty. And me and Scotty, it was more like, it was very platonic, I guess, at first. Like we would text each other back, or not text, but Facebook Messenger.
Right.
We'd send messages to each other, just back and forth. Ben, that like it was very strange. Like he acted like we were in a relationship, but he also the thing that got me the most was the not talking on the weekends. I guess I didn't mention this. While I was there in Santa Fe, I don't know if we were in my room or his room or where we were at, but he got a call from a woman, and on the phone it said Jen, the name Jen. And I saw it because his phone was sitting right next to me, and he picked it up really quick, and he said that it was his mother, and he went on to the hall to talk to her. And I remember feeling very weird about that. Like, why is his mom's first name? Why does he have his mom's first name as like her contact thing? And why does he need to go into the hall to talk to her?
Yeah.
And you know, after Santa Fe and everything, and I just found it very strange that he was not talking on the weekends, and it was very sporadic. But when he was talking, it was like continuous. Like he would want me to text back and forth, like just super fast, you know. But then he would just not talk for like days, and then it was just continuous, you know. Like acting like the 3 days that he didn't say anything, like that just didn't happen. He was very whiny. He was very much obsessed with the fact that he thought everyone was out to get him, and it almost felt like I was his therapist. Like our quote relationship felt like he was almost like he was stringing me along to have someone to talk to and say all of his problems, like talk about, oh, the hosts of DP, like let me talk about their shit, like you know, like he didn't know at this point, like in March, that I was talking to Scotty, but you know, just very disparaging stuff about them. Talking about going to see his therapist, sending me photos of him crying and stuff about how he's such a bad person. But then the next moment he's talking about how everyone is bad and they're all out to get him and blah, 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 blah. And it was exhausting.
I bet.
Talking to him. It was exhausting. And Scotty felt like a breath of fresh air. Like I would get a message from Scotty, like at the time zones, it was, you know, it was, sometimes it'd be very late, but for him, it wasn't super late. But getting a message from him, I would just like, I remember I would get the biggest smile on my face. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I really like him. I didn't know how much I liked him, but getting a message from Ben, it was almost like, oh my God, what is it going to be this time? Like, what did I do wrong? Or what did somebody else do wrong?
So did you feel like the relationship was basically like a lot more work than anything else?
Yes. Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, I remember I had told him that I wanted to go see him in Washington. And he was not interested in that at all.
Huh.
And
you'd think if you're in a relationship with someone and they you know, offer to come out and see you, that wouldn't be their reaction.
Yeah.
Especially as someone who's been in long distance relationships and knows how much they suck.
Yeah, you know, it was really strange because in a lot of ways he acted like we were in a relationship. I would mention like, cuz I didn't know what it was, but I didn't know what we were at all, but I would mention like that I wanted to like, oh, I want to go on this date and stuff, and he was not cool with that at all. But then he would say like, oh, I'm going to Tacoma, Washington, or I'm going to go to Canada and do all this stuff. And I mean, I didn't really give a shit. I didn't know what we were, but it just seemed like it was very, it seemed like there was a different set of rules for him versus me. I found out later that there was a woman in Tacoma that he was going to see. Also found out later that there were women in Canada, there were women in New York. There were women in New Mexico, and all under the guise of going to see, quote, friends.
Right.
So, it just, I mean, he was never like, he always, I don't know how, it was like he made me feel bad about myself, but in a way that like I was making him feel bad about himself, if that makes any sense.
Like he would make you feel like it was your fault for the way he was feeling.
Yes. Yeah, depending on what was happening. I guess in like April, he found out that I was talking to Scotty. Maybe it was April. I don't know when they went to that Portland meetup. It was somewhere around then. But I was at work and I was messaging Scotty on Facebook Messenger. And I had talked to Ben, but like that day, but I was just really done with hearing the bullshit about how life sucks so much for him and every, just woe is me
Right.
bullshit. And so I'm like, I'll just talk to him later. And I had Scotty's, how they do the messenger thing on there. I had his pulled up at the bottom. And me and him were just messaging back and forth, and we were sending each other pictures. And I sent him a photo of like my knife or something. And then Ben's name pops up, his messenger. And it said, I can see that you're talking to Scotty. I'm sitting right next to him on the train. I was like, oh my God, what?
I mean, did he ever make an indication that that wasn't allowed?
No.
Not that he would have a right to anyway, but like, kind of, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and oh my God, it was just like, it was the strangest moment for me. Like I felt like so scared for no reason. But it was just, like, he said that and I messaged him back. I felt my heart sink. I was like, oh my God, I've done something wrong. And I messaged him. I'm like, nothing's going on. I'm just talking to him. And I guess Scotty told me later that he could see at that moment on the train that Ben was really upset about it. And said something along the lines of, do you really have to talk to her? And he kind of said the same thing to me on the messenger, like, oh, do you really have to talk to Scotty? I'm like, well, we're just friends. Oh, really? You're just friends? What are y'all talking about? And I was like, I just sent him a photo of my knife. Like, we're not doing anything. Anyway, he was pretty mad about that.
It sounds like he needed to be the only one getting attention from you, which is again quite ironic given the fact that he had several other women and you he wasn't giving you his full attention.
Yeah, mind you, he was with Alicia at this time. I had no idea.
Right.
Yeah, he was. I don't want to say her name, but I do know who it is. He was also at the very same time messaging the girl that he met up with in Albuquerque. Several other women. I don't know how he has time to do it, but he does.
I don't know
that's
either.
Probably why I had to schedule out Skypes with him. He made it seem like he was very busy with DP, but I didn't even know that at the time. Like, Paul was actually the one pulling most of the stuff. So,
yeah, I've learned that more and more. Whenever Ben says he's busy doing a DP work, it turns out someone else is doing it a lot of the time. I found out later, apparently, like, he would tell other people, like, oh, I'm doing DP work, and it's like, no, Animancer was doing your work at that time. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. It makes sense that he would be using that excuse of, oh, I'm always working. But then, when you put it all together, it's like, it's very clear what you were doing.
Yeah. So, Scotty and I were messaging each other back and forth and again, and he had said that he was going to New Orleans to go and visit family. And he asked me, actually, it was really me that initiated it. I was like, oh, that's pretty close. It's not at all, by the way. Where I lived was actually, it's like 5.5 hours away, but I'm like, that's close enough. I could drive. I'll come and
Right.
see you. And so we just got some kind of plan together to see each other, and we said that we would share an Airbnb to save money.
Right. Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And this, I don't know, like I didn't see anything going with Ben anymore. Like he was still constantly talking to me, but I had asked him several times, like, hey, I'll come and visit you in Washington. Like, I want to see you. And he just always had some kind of excuse. One of the excuses was my older dog, she pees on the floor and I'm embarrassed of it. I'm like, it's
What?
okay. I have a 17-year-old Belgian Malinois. She pisses constantly. Like, I don't care. Oh, well, my house is really dirty and I'm very embarrassed of it.
That-
Oh, well,
You'd think if
you
your
know,
house was dirty enough that you could admit out loud, I'm embarrassed of how dirty my house was, that, like, you might as well just show it to the person at that point. Like, I don't know.
I just really, I'm just really sad that like what, why would you, don't bring your dog into this.
Right.
Come on.
It's all just really weird. Like, these are some flimsy
Yeah,
ass
it is.
excuses.
Sorry, taking a drink.
Not a problem.
But yeah, so I told Ben about it. I'm like, okay, well, and I was starting to kind of mention to him that I'm like, this is I don't want to be played, you know,
Right.
and it's constant with you, and I've only like met up with you in person once, and it just seems like every day there's an issue, and I'm really tired of it. You know, like I want, obviously there was a lot more to it, I guess, but I really can't remember like the individual conversations that we had. But I just remember at that time, like I was listening to music that was like super angry, you know, and I can remember that part of it, like that sticks in my head mostly. So, you know, I just know that time was really bad. But I told him, I said, I'm going to New Orleans to see Scotty. And he was, oh, you really have to go do that. Oh, you really have to go do that. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go. So it's not like a big deal. Like we're just friends, whatever. And I guess him and Scotty went out to eat or something. And it's funny, you can actually see this on DP. Not the eating part, but the after. They went out to eat for lunch before they did DP, and it was just Ben and Scotty, and they were eating, and it was getting close to like the end, and Ben kind of cornered him on the issue of me, and Ben apparently tried to tell Scotty that he could not go see me.
Huh.
And if anyone knows Scotty, you will know that that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
He basically just said like, "Oh, this is so, how dare you? Like you can't go do this. You all really have to share an Airbnb. That's not cool at all. Like I'm not okay with this." And Scotty, in the most polite way he could muster, told him to fuck off, and that he was not going to tell him who he could not see, and he was not going to tell me who I could not see. And it was a very interesting show that happened afterwards, to say the least. It's really funny because I remember looking at all the comments, and everyone was like, Ben is really sad today, skulking Ben, like, oh, what happened to him? Oh my God.
Poor baby.
And yeah. And anyway, so that was at the end of April, and it started getting closer to when I was supposed to go, which was May 8th. And the whole time leading up to it, I was getting messages constantly from Ben saying that, you know, I really don't need to go, and I can't believe you're doing this, and you're betraying me. And I'm like, you won't even let me go to Washington to see you. I don't know what this is. I don't know who you think you are, but like, you've made it very clear with your actions and stuff that you are just wanting to like pull me along, and I'm not interested.
Right.
And I think it was his birthday. I don't know when his birthday is. What is his birthday? Sometime around now, actually.
I have no idea.
I know it's a May birthday. Anyway,
Damn, what if it's today? That would
it might be.
That would be a weird coincidence.
Yeah. So I guess some days leading up to it, I know that we stopped talking on like May the 5th or something.
Oh, someone in the chat said it's May 8th, so it's actually a couple days from now. Interesting. Yeah, happy birthday, Ben. I don't know.
So, but a couple days before I was supposed to go, turned into like 3 of the most hellish nights of my life. Bennett asked me for like the millionth time, like, have you decided on whether you're going to go or not? Because I had told Scotty, I'm like, I don't really know, like, maybe I shouldn't, like, I feel really bad. And it got to the point where Scotty was just like really done with it. Me and him had a serious connection, and he didn't want to lose that. And so he ended up telling me, you know, look, I don't know if you and Ben have like something, like if y'all have something serious going on or whatever, but I just want to let you know that you're not the only one he's seeing. And we're aware of it. And I didn't want to say anything to you because I didn't know if you were aware of it, but I really like you. And like, I think we actually have something, and I'm just letting you know that he never mentions us to you. Like, the only reason why he's mentioned you to me is because we're talking. And I think he just doesn't want it to get out or something. I don't know.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure he's married. I've met his wife actually. And and he was just like, well, you can just figure out what you want to do. I'm not trying to tell you what to do. And with that information, I thought about it that night, and I realized that I didn't want to be used by him anymore. And I wasn't okay with being some kind of person on the side. That's not me.
Yeah.
And so I messaged him and I told him that I didn't want to talk to him anymore. And I think in that moment he realized that I must have known.
Right.
Because he spent the next like 3 days calling me non-stop, over and over and over and over again, messaging me over and over and over. I would answer the phone and I would talk to him for a while. I'm like, I'm really sorry, but this is like, you know, I just can't do this and I'm not cool with it. And he would talk to me for like hours and hours. I'm like, just stop calling me. Like, you're crazy. Now I live with my parents. So like, and I also have kids, and
Right.
I would go out to my car to go talk to him because my whole family is asleep. And I would tell him that. I'm like, yo, like, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry you feel this way, but I cannot talk to you anymore. It's really late. Like, for me, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I have to be up for work in like 4 hours. And he just didn't care. He just kept calling me. And I don't know, like, I know I should have shut my phone off, but
it can be hard when you're in the middle of a
even
situation
then,
like that. It can be hard to just disengage.
And but even then I was like, oh my God, I don't know. I would shut off my phone, and then I wake up, I went to work, I'd keep it shut off, and then I'd turn it back on, and it was just like message, calling, just constant. And then finally, I don't know what clicked in him, but then he was just like, I guess he turned into fuck you mode, and it was over finally. And I went to New Orleans, and Scotty was awesome. And let me tell you, this is the funny part. So, you know, my parents, how they were with me meeting Ben, you know, like, oh, I need this, 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 and this. When I told them I was going to meet Scotty, they didn't give a fit. They didn't give a fuck at all. They were just like, okay, bye. That's it.
Damn. Well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, and they love him now, obviously.
Right.
But I don't know what it is, but I think they knew before I even knew, you know? So,
Someone in the chat
but
says that he's apparently done nothing but insult you ever since. Did
mm,
did you experience any of that? Like what was the like you said he entered like fuck you mode. Like what was that like?
oh, he didn't speak to me at all. The next time I saw him was in July, maybe. When was the first time I went to Seattle? I think it was in July. Yeah, I think it was in July or something. I went there and it felt very weird. Well, it didn't feel weird at Scotty's house. It was fine. Met Chelsea. She was very nice. Met TJ. TJ was very different than when I met him in Santa Fe. I think in Santa Fe, he just saw me as one of Ben's side girls that he's going to hook up with tonight and he'll never have to see again, so he didn't care.
Right.
But meeting him in Seattle, like, I talked to TJ on the porch for like an hour and he was just like, you know, telling me how he'd never seen Scotty like this before. And I don't know. It was very like heartwarming conversation. Like he was just really excited for him to be happy, you know. Met Paul, and Paul, like the first day I met him, he brought me one of those Japanese egg salad sandwiches, and I'm like, okay, this guy's cool. But as far as Ben goes, there was one of the days that, because they had a whole studio, so it was cool for people to come. And I went there, and the strangest thing happened, which was Ben acted like he had never met me before in his whole life. He acted like nothing had happened. In fact, he didn't say anything to me when I came in there. And it was, I'd never, like, I know all of my exes. I mean, one of them I see because of my son, but
Right.
I'm friends with all of my exes, really. And this, I've never had a moment like that where it was just like, I'm just not going to, like, the 5 months or whatever, that never happened. But as far as things being talked about to me or talked about me, I didn't hear that until after we had moved here. And that's when I had let people know on Discord or something about that I, like, how I had met Scotty. And that's when I had multiple people come to me and say, I already knew that because Ben told us everything. Oh, I went to a bar with Ben in Seattle and he told me that, you know, you're easy and Scotty's getting, like, what do you call them? Seconds or whatever the fuck
Sloppy
they say?
seconds,
I don't know.
Gross.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate when guys talk like that, yo. Like women are a piece of meat. It's fucking gross.
So
that shows you Ben's the way Ben views women in general, though. Like
yeah, that was one of the things. Yeah, you're right. That was one of the things that was said. The sloppy seconds thing. The what was it? Oh, this was an interesting one. That I got with Scotty to make Ben jealous. Well, Ben, it's been 4 years. Are you jealous yet? Are you jealous?
I think he was jealous right off the fucking bat, but it's see
another. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, another one was that I got with Scotty to get closer to Ben.
Okay. I don't think
After
that was
DP
necessary.
broke up. Yeah. After DP broke up, he apparently called me the Yoko Ono of DP, which was interesting because it's funny. It really is funny because it actually does relate because Yoko Ono did not break up the Beatles.
Right.
But she gets blamed for it. So you can blame me all you want, but I didn't do it.
That's actually quite
You
applicable.
deleting a wonderful video that they did without you
Right.
is the reason. You drinking on the show constantly, not being able to do the show is the reason. Your continuous use of the platform to hook up with very young women is the reason. Your blatant disrespect to the people that you work with and claim to be friends with is the reason. There are so many reasons, and not one of them has to do with me. And it's so telling that me as a woman who has not shit to do with that at all, he has the gall to say that it was all me.
Right.
Someone who came in really at the very end of DP, but it was all me. So, but that was what he never said any of that to me. In fact, the Seattle meetup that I went to, the last DP meetup that they had, he got very drunk, and I didn't speak to him all evening. I was with Scotty, so, but Scotty got really drunk, and it was the one moment that I was not around him, around Scotty, to be clear. I walked back into the venue, and Ben ran up to me, and he said like hi or something. I was like hi, and he said, I just wanted to say, and then he started crying a little, and he was like, I just wanted to say I'm sorry about everything. I'm like, okay, that's nice.
I'm sure.
And he was like, you've just been so nice. Meanwhile, he's the whole time talking shit, apparently, to like some of the more well-known fans. I'm not going to say their names, but they told me, oh, I'm just so sorry about everything. And, you know, if anything happens with you and Scotty, just let me know. It's like, wow. Okay.
Wait, what do you mean if anything happens? Like, did he mean like if you guys break up?
I think so. I don't really know.
I love how like he couldn't even keep you when he had your full attention, and like you finally, like, because he's treating you so shittily, like someone like Scotty, you're able to meet someone like Scotty and get out of that, and he thinks you're gonna fucking go back. Like I guess I don't know. I guess that speaks to some level of delusion there.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
yeah, I think that that's a lot of his MO is delusion, paranoia,
right.
narcissism, manipulation for one.
Yeah, definitely a lot of signs of all of that.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I was gonna continue with the next question, but then I realized we've kind of skipped several questions while in the telling of your story, which is good because you've done a good job.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add, or do you want me to see what's next, or if we missed anything?
I mean, I think that gets to the crux of it, you know? I think that really nails it down.
Speaking of the manipulation, did he were there signs of like him trying to manipulate you while you were together?
Me and Ben or me and Scotty?
You and Ben.
I think what he was attempting to do, because he would send me a lot of photos. Oh, one of them was because before even the stuff with Scotty, he would send me photos of like, I just went to my therapist and, you know, I just feel like such a terrible person. And he'd send me photos of him crying and stuff. And I think that was his attempt to try and I don't know if he was attempting to manipulate me in some kind of way into like, because he would always send those in moments where I was like seeming like I was not interested, you know. So I don't know if that's how he's gotten people to feel sorry for him, and
Right.
I don't really know. I mean, I guess it kind of worked because I would still talk to him, but I guess the biggest one was when I was trying to break up with him. Break up with him as if we were together. I don't know.
Right.
It's kind of hard to like whatever. Anyway, but he sent me like some photo of him crying, just saying like, "Oh, this is what this is all doing to me." Um,
Yeah,
and so
that's kind of fucked
I
up.
think yeah, it wasn't like he was like a super angry person or whatever, but it was more like just whining constantly, very, very whiny.
Sounds very
Um,
childish. It sounds like me in my first couple relationships when I was like fucking 16, and you know, like some woman like doesn't want to talk to me. I'm like, please, like I'm so broken. Like I need you, baby. Like come back, you know. And
mm,
like, cause I'll admit, I've been like not the smartest, not the best in like relationships, but I was young, I was stupid. You know, you grow up, you get older, you realize how to treat people, you learn fucking empathy. It sounds like Ben has never done any of these things.
mm.
It sounds very, very childish. Um, so would he like gaslight you or anything like that? Like tell you like you're crazy or stuff like that?
Um, I think he realized that that wasn't gonna work with me. He would
Okay.
frequently say stuff like, "Oh, you're so strong," like, "Oh, you could really, like, dominate me," and that kinda thing. I don't really know why, because 'cause I'm not, like, an especially, like, big person.
I will tell you, you're
Um,
a million times stronger than he is. You're willing to fucking come out and talk
pro
about this, and after all you've fucking been through, and I've seen other
I'm
signs of your
probably
strength
I'm
in
probably
general, dude. You're a strong you're a strong fucking woman.
well, I mean, the only time I can think of him trying to gaslight me was, the night after Coyote Cafe.
Okay.
Um, really just, like, the whole like, oh, altitude sickness and oh, we were
Right.
both drunk. I don't know what happened, but I know it was crazy, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Um, he did end up telling Scotty that, like while I was with him, apparently he mentioned to him that I was like, he said something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm so strong," and I threw him in bed, and I'm just like I don't know, I'm a very dominating person, and I guess he had said something to Scotty like, "Oh, she's so strong, she could fuck me up," and it's like, "Oh my god, no!" Like what?
I almost wonder if
Like that
that was
doesn't.
a gaslighting tactic in and of itself, like the constantly telling you you're strong and going around like, "Oh yeah, she's so strong," like to maybe to make you and other people think that, "Oh, he's the weak one in the relationship. You're definitely the one that could overpower him or manipulate him," right?
Yeah, he had said stuff like I threw him around, and you know, and I just remember like Scotty telling me that, and I'm like, I don't remember this happening. Like I don't that this was not what I experienced at all, and I'm really not that kind of person.
Right.
So, um, I wouldn't even say like I'm like super physically strong. I'm probably physically stronger than him at this point, but
Right.
yeah, that I guess that would be the only thing I can think of the gaslighting. I think he realized that that wasn't going to work with me, so he used the whiny, you know, feel bad for me kind of tactic.
Okay. Let's see. So I guess so you because I know with other victims he's like tried to control their YouTube or social media access. He didn't try and do any of that with you, right?
Fuck no.
I'm guessing because that he realized that wasn't gonna fly with you.
No. No, there's no way.
I mean, it is clear he at least he tried to control your relationship with Scotty at first and be like, oh, you can't talk to
Oh
him.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. He definitely didn't want me to talking to Chelsea or Ashley.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
that was going to be my other
yeah.
question. Who are the like? Were there? I guess you can go into detail. I guess were there multiple people that he didn't let you talk to or try to control your access to?
Yeah, he didn't want me talking to Chelsea or Ashley at all. At all, at all. Um, he frequently told me about Paul and his disdain for him. Um, he didn't say
Dude,
anything about
I
TJ.
I will say I really thought that disdain for Paul was kayfabe. I can't believe I didn't see it for what it was. He really fucking hates Paul. There's a
Whatever. Yeah, that's that. I'm not gonna go into that one,
yeah, no,
but
sure, fair enough. Uh,
but but yeah, that really the main ones was Chelsea and
right.
Ashley. I think Ben felt like he was friends enough with Scotty that that wasn't going to be an issue, maybe.
Hmm.
But I realize now that really the control of who to talk to was just so I wouldn't find out about the other people that he was seeing or his wife. Um, but yeah, I mean, there isn't really a way he could have controlled that for me.
Right. Okay. So, I guess overall, what would you say were the biggest red flags about your overall interactions with Ben throughout the entire thing?
Um, the biggest red flag for me was that he contacted me in the first place. Um, that should have never happened.
You mean like him being a
Um,
public figure?
and contacting me, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that um I guess seeing the name on his phone and letting him convince me that it was his mom was one. I guess another one would be gaslighting me into believing that we had consensual sex when I was blackout drunk. Um, not not allowing me to meet up with Scotty, I guess is another. Um, Probably another one is just the constant manipulation with the crying and
Right.
everything. The not speaking to me on the weekends.
Yeah, that is kind of a
Um,
big red flag.
yeah, that and it's funny because my dad actually mentioned that. My dad said he was married because I told him I was like I guess it was like a Saturday or something, and I came in from work and my dad could see that I was like kind of upset, and I was looking at my phone and stuff, and he knew I was talking to him, and he's like, "Well, what are you all upset about?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't really get it. Like he was just talking to me, and now he's not. I don't know if I did something wrong or you know." And my dad said, "Does he ever talk to you on the weekends?" I'm like, "No." And my dad said, "He's married," and walked out of the room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, "Okay." And I was just like, "No, he's not. Whatever, Dad." Um, yeah, that's definitely a red flag there.
Your dad called it.
Yeah, I mean, he said it like so, and then he just left the room. I'm like, "What?" um, and then really the biggest red flag was how he acted when I tried to leave him.
Yeah.
Um, I remember one of the nights I was talking. I think it was like the third night or something. It was, or maybe it was the second. But I was out there. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and he had been calling over and over. And I was finally just like, okay, whatever. And I talked to him, and I was so sleepy from not sleeping, from him constantly contacting me. And I told him, I'm like, Ben, I really just can't deal with this anymore. Like I'm hallucinating. I think there was a tree that was outside of my car.
God damn.
And no. I mean, like there was a tree. It was like planted, like, it was a very large oak tree.
No,
that I
the
would
fact
park.
you said you were hallucinating, I was like,
Yeah. Well, I was. The point is, I was sitting in the car and I was listening. He was just basically he was just talking to a wall, because at that point I really didn't even know what he was talking about. I was just like, oh my God, okay, whatever. But I do remember telling him, like, there's like monkeys in the trees and stuff. Like, I don't know. I think I should go to sleep. And he was just like, no, I need to say this other thing. I need to say this other thing. Anyway. That would definitely be another red flag.
right.
But yeah. So
So did he try and use means of keeping you from speaking or talking about things?
after the fact?
Yeah, after the fact. I don't know if you wanted to get into that or not,
Um
or touch upon it, or whatever you want to do.
Inadvertently he did. I think he realized that I wasn't going to, like, well, at the time, like, DP was still going. DP went on for a while before it ended.
Right.
And I mean, I had said some things in Discord about him, but I had never really gone into detail about everything. And I don't feel like he felt like he had to, because I think he felt like the show just being around, I wouldn't want to say anything because I was with Scotty and I didn't
Right.
want to hurt the show. And I didn't. I didn't want to hurt the show. And that's the sad thing, is that I felt like I couldn't really talk about it. I tried to, but and it's not like any of the guys ever told me I couldn't.
Right.
But I just knew that was obviously that was going to hurt the show.
Yeah.
So but after it ended, all I can say is that there were agreements that I knew about, and I felt at the time that if I said anything, that it could be used against people that I love. So I didn't say anything. And now that there isn't anything, now I can. So I guess there's that. But yeah, there was not anything specifically towards me. Like there wasn't like, there wasn't something that I had signed or whatever. It was, I just was aware that there were legal agreements.
Right. Yeah, apparently Ben broke said agreement himself, according to a number of people who are in my chat letting me know.
Well, I can tell you this, that I've been told that I can say this. The Albuquerque meetup was actually filmed by someone that they had paid to do a behind the scenes documentary. Now that footage was lost, and when we moved to down here, there was a big box that had a bunch of TJ and Scotty's dad's stuff in it. And now it wasn't like a box that we were going to really open, because it's all of his personal stuff. It's just a box that they bring. It's got all of his stuff, so. But I opened it because I had asked Scotty, I'm like, oh, well, can I look at your dad's things? Like, I'm curious. I've never met him, and I'd really like to see the stuff. And he was like, okay. And while I was rifling through this box of miscellaneous things, I found a flash drive. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I bet it's pictures of his dad or something. I don't know. Like, would this be pictures of his dad? I don't know what the hell this is. And so I think I asked Scotty if I can go put this on TJ's computer, and he was like, okay. And yeah, let's go look at it. I went and put it on the computer, and it was all the files from Albuquerque. I'm like, what? What the hell? And I remember Scotty was like, oh my God, you like, well, that has been gone forever. Showed it to TJ and Paul, and they were like, wow, okay. And I told them, I'm like, I've been interested in editing since you guys do the show. Like, maybe I could give it a try or something. And I know they made Ben aware of it, that we were going to edit it, and I did. It took me months. We got it ready to be released. We were really excited. It was like the last unseen DP between footage with all
Right.
4 of them. And when we released it, Ben went on his Benpai stream and lied and said he was not made aware of it, and severely hurt sales on the video. He said he was not going to get money from it, which is a lie. And it's so funny because he hurt his own self to try and make those 3 guys look bad.
Right.
For his own, not even personal monetary gain, but his own personal, like, vendetta game, like a revenge game for some reason. And it was so strange because, like, and well, it was honestly very, like, I felt it really hurt because I spent so much time, like, learning to edit, to do it. And I was really, really proud of it. And he just shit all over it for no reason.
I'm sorry.
Other than to, yeah, it really hurt. I really loved editing that video. But yeah, that was another thing, I guess.
That really sucks. Yeah. He
You
does
still buy the ABQ meetup movie? I'm pretty sure you can.
Huh. Yeah, he seems to do that a lot. Like, he seems to just shoot himself in the foot a lot. Like, honestly, I've heard. Now, I'm actually curious what you know about this, or if you can get into it. If you can't, that's fine. Because I didn't watch the Plan C stream, which was the I guess the biggest catalyst for the whole breakup.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that, but from what I heard, the reason that Ben took that down was because in that stream they watched a Brett Keane video where Brett Keane made a comment or accused Ben of cheating on his wife, and apparently that was the reason that Ben took that stream down. And I always thought that's really fucking dumb because, I mean, it's Brett Keane. If Brett Keane accuses you of fucking cheating on your wife, you kind of like throw that on the pile of bullshit along with, oh, TJ's a pedophile situation, and oh, here's Paul Zigo did this or what, like, Brett was always talking shit. He was always saying shit that's completely unfounded and total bullshit. So, like, it blew my mind that, like, is that the reason he took that down? Because if so, that's really fucking dumb. At least to your knowledge.
He told, from my knowledge, he told them that he took it down because there was like a dildo or something, and Twitch is weird about it.
A dildo.
Which, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, if it was very brief. I'm not really sure, but that was the reason that was given. But I don't think any of us are naive to the real reason.
Right. I just think that's a pretty dumb reason, because, like, you could easily play that off as, like, what? It's just Brett Keane. Why would anyone believe what he says? He lends more credibility to it by taking it down.
That's actually what the guy said.
Right.
Now, I don't think any of them believe that, but I can't speak to their, I'm not going to speak for them, but They even played it off and said Brett Keen's stupid. So I don't really know. That's kind of how I feel.
Right.
I would have just played it off, but
Yeah.
he's not able to take any criticism. So
That is a big theme. That is one of the again, in my very first video about about DP, I pointed that out, that I really don't think Ben can take
I'm
criticism.
sorry, I'm looking at the DP Albuquerque meetup thing, and I see our Disney World trip that I edited, and I filmed it. I was so excited.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that's still a thing that people can go
It
watch.
it is still a thing. Yeah, you can. It's 666. So, and then when you get it, you get the Disney thing. The DP does Disney, which is me and Scotty and Paul and Ashley and Chelsea, and I think and Stevie's in it, and so yeah, that one was a lot of fun. And the DP Albuquerque meetup is a really fun video. I haven't watched it in so long. I really should, though, because I'm a much better editor now, and I would have done it so differently.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I mean, that's the thing. You grow, you learn, you get better at shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
well,
anyway.
if
That's everything, I guess.
I guess I would just say the last question would be, is there anything else that you think people should know about Ben, especially anyone who's considering getting into, I was going to say a romantic relationship, but honestly, any kind of relationship with Ben? What do you think people need to know, if anything, that you haven't already?
That I haven't said?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess what I would say is that for any type of a relationship, even if it's just a friend or a business thing, is that Ben is going to use you. He will. And he doesn't care to cast you aside, no matter how good a friend you think he is, no matter how much of a romantic relationship you have with him. It does not matter. You don't mean anything to him at all, including the people in his show now, including Billy. He does not care. He is using you for his own personal gain. I assure you of it. The only person he cares about is himself. And I feel really sorry for some of the people. And this is the only time I'm going to mention them. I'm not going to talk to them on Twitter. I feel really sorry for the people that are simping for him on Twitter right now, because he does not care about you. I don't care what he tells you. He doesn't care. All he cares about is that you're saying good things about him. And for you, to be talking about me in such a way, and you know what you're saying, and I know you guys are watching this. For you to continually harass me or the other victims of Ben and not even know us, I don't even know what to say to you. All I know is that you're being brainwashed by him. And once again, he does not care about you at all. At all.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you say one thing about him, one thing in a negative light, you're gone. He'll never speak to you again. The only thing you'll hear about is bad things from other people that he said about you. That's it. That's all.
Yeah.
And it's, Jamie, it's really kind of crazy that I have, there's really not that many, but there are like three people on Twitter that continually are tagging me in things, like constantly, about like, rape, people that scream rape and blah, blah, blah. We need to see evidence and blah. I don't know what to say to you. I don't know. It doesn't matter what I showed you. It doesn't matter what I say. For some reason, you have got it in your head that that anyone who says anything bad about Ben is just wrong and they're just horrible. And it's crazy to me, Jamie, because it's like, I've never talked to these people in my life ever.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. Like, I don't understand how you could, a perfect stranger, you could spend your whole life dedicated, one of these Twitters at least is just dedicated to harassing victims of abuse. It's like the
Right.
strangest thing I've ever seen.
It blows my mind because I look at these people, I'm just
For
like,
a man who doesn't care about you at
Right.
all.
I'm like, do you really want to like die on this hill of like attacking like victims? Like, you don't even know the whole situation. It's really easy to, but unfortunately that's the problem. Ben has cultivated a situation. He's cultivated an audience where like the people that watch him defend him from criticism, and he uses that power dynamic that he has as a public figure to like coerce people into thinking that he's some great guy, and they get there's a really defensive attitude. I realized that when a year ago or a little longer, I just criticized Ben about some things, and like he immediately like dragged me into his Discord. So his his trolls, like pretty much everyone that was active in there was like, "You're a liar, Jamie. Fuck you. You're a liar. Stop attacking our Ben." And like,
Yeah, I think I had heard you talk about this. Yeah.
yeah, it's really fucked because it's very clear these people aren't really thinking for themselves. They're just, oh, Ben said this is true, so it must be true. Ben said this person is a piece of shit, so they're a piece of shit. And these people aren't thinking. Like, guys, you do realize that like the more this comes out, like everyone's gonna remember that you were simping for Ben harder than anyone else. Like, you're attaching yourself to this person. And I feel like a lot of these people don't know who they're attaching themselves to, who they're willing to like go to bat for. And it's kind of sad. Like I've said, like, if you don't believe the victims, if you don't believe their stories, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wait for more evidence then, or just don't make up your mind.
Let me tell you this. I don't know what kind of evidence you're wanting people to provide for a night that, like, I don't know what you want.
Yeah, that's another point. It's very hard to prove any of this. Like, how do you prove that someone did that to you? How do you prove, like you said, you weren't even sure if you were roofied or not, but it sounds like you definitely blacked out that night. How do you prove the events of that night? You weren't wearing a body cam, right? Like, I don't know what evidence people expect. Like, and if we just have that standard where it's like, oh, you don't have any hard evidence to prove this. I know what people say. Oh, well, you can destroy someone very easily that way. But by the same token, you can also get away with rape pretty easily that way. You just go on a date with someone, fuck them, and then like later you can say it didn't happen. Like,
That's true.
all I want people to do is, look, if you listen to this entire stream and you don't believe the story that Taylor told, that's fine. Wait, don't make your mind up yet, but I will ask you to pay attention to this channel as I continue to interview more people. There's already another person another victim who's gonna come on and talk. If there's anyone else, I've seen people in the chat throughout this stream say Ben did the same to me. Ben did the same to me at multiple different points of your story, Taylor. Like, so if you are out there and you want to come forward and talk about this, you have a platform to talk about this. And there will always be trolls. There will always be a few people that will try and be really uncharitable and defend this person no matter what. But look at I'll say this to anyone who feels like is a little iffy about coming onto this stream. Look at the likes this stream has got. Look at the like to dislike ratio. It's actually quite. Look at the like to dislike ratio. It's actually quite surprising. Like, there's the majority of the people who are watching right now are in support. So if you come forward, you will be supported. You will have a safe place to tell your story. No one's going to shit on you. There might be some people out there that try and shit on you, but you got to remember those people are in the minority. And those people are kind of just screaming into the wind at this point. I don't know who's even paying attention. Like, I feel like most people look at that and realize, okay, these people are just kind of full of shit. They're trying to poke holes in this at any fucking cost. And it's clear, like, I don't know. I don't know if people have, like, a vested interest in defending Ben. I don't know if... I mean, I know some of the people that are out there saying this shit just don't like me. Or don't like some of the other victims. But, like, at the end of the day, like, Ben's little DP empire is kind of crumbling. And I take no pleasure in that. Look, as I said, I just wanted to enjoy my favorite podcast, all right? That's all I ever wanted. I really enjoyed this podcast. I looked up to all 4 of the guys that were originally on it. I thought it was great. I thought they were all good people. Even as I've levied my criticisms against Ben, I've continued to say he's a good dude. I've continued to support him. I've continued. Heck, I was a patron until about a year ago of Benpai specifically, because I felt bad. I felt bad after the show broke up, and I wanted to send at least a little bit of support his way. I had no animosity. But, like, the more these stories come out, the more it becomes clear that this is fucked up and it needs to be talked about. This and it will be. Someone in the chat says Mina, I have my own blackout story from Ben along with other concerning things. I appreciate Taylor for coming out. I've been dealing with this alone for years. And that's the thing to remember. You guys don't have to be alone anymore. This doesn't have to be something that you live with by yourself and you have these unpleasant memories that creep up from time to time. Because I get it. I've never been in this kind of situation where I've been, like, abused this way by a significant other. But I've gone through abuse in my life more than once. And I get it. I know what it's like having these things, having these experiences be something that, like, you have to relive. And you can't even talk about it. And it's your own little fucking private hell. And it doesn't have to be that way anymore. I encourage people to come forward. And Taylor, I really appreciate you coming forward. I think you're so brave and so strong, and I really admire you for doing this.
Well, thank you, and thank you for giving me a place to talk about it. So I appreciate you letting me come on.
Absolutely. I guess that about wraps it up.
Yep, I'm gonna go downstairs and watch Rocket Man with Scotty.
All right. Have a great night. And
all right, thanks.
Once again, I am really glad that at least this very shitty story has a happy ending, because you ended up with Scotty, and
I did. Thank you, Ben, for that, by the way.
Yeah, dude. Ben has a habit of setting people up in one way or another with people that they get along with way better. I mean, if it wasn't for Ben, me and Annie would have never been in contact, and I wouldn't be doing the show that I'm doing. And so, like, thank you, Ben. Yeah, you inadvertently end up helping the people that you shit on the most, and I think that's the most beautiful thing about all of this.
It really is. All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you for coming on, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Oh yeah, we will. All right, bye.
Bye. Whew. All right, guys. Well, that was my interview with Taylor. Thank you, everyone, all of you who stuck around and watched the entire stream. Thank you, everyone, for your support, for the likes, for the positive comments. I really appreciate all of that. And again, a reminder, any of you guys, if you want to come forward, even if you haven't been in a relationship with Ben, but you just had interactions with him and you want to come forward and let them be known, my Twitter DMs are open, as well as my Discord. You can also contact me there. Feel free to come forward. Feel free to contact me. We're going to be moving forward with this. I'm going to be having another victim again soon here. I got to talk to her and coordinate exactly when we're going to do that, but that'll be happening soon. Again, though, thank you, Rose Black. I really appreciate that. I really fucking appreciate. Thank you so much. I didn't do this stream for views or money or donations or any of that. And in fact, like I said at the top of this stream, guys, anyone who's here just for the drama, you got two options, all right? If you're watching this channel right now because you want to see what happens in the Ben saga, you want to see how this progresses, feel free to subscribe. But I will warn you, when this is over, this is not the kind of channel that I intend to have, all right? I'm not going to focus on drama and shit like this. I'm talking about it because it needs to be talked about. So feel free to unsubscribe when this whole arc is over or not subscribe in the first place. I really don't care one way or another. I'm glad that enough of you were here to hear this story. Feel free to share this stream and push it farther because people need to know about this. This has been swept under the rug for far too long, and that's why I'm doing this. I want people to know. I want this story to have legs. I want it to go beyond me, quite honestly. I don't care to be, guys, honest, I don't care to be the fucking one to break this story. I don't care to be the one to take down Ben or whatever. I just want this to get out there. So, quite frankly, if someone way bigger than me, if someone way bigger than me wants to take the fucking torch on this and keep going, feel free. But for me, I'm gonna keep interviewing the victims. I'm gonna keep talking about this. Whatever information that I get, I'm gonna do my best to make public and make sure that Ben is held accountable. I really, that's the goal here. I'm not trying to I'm not even trying to punish Ben. I just want him to be held accountable. I want people to know what kind of person he is. I want the people that donate to him to know what kind of person they're donating to. I want the women, especially the women who have a potential of getting into a relationship with him, to know what kind of person they're getting involved with. So, anyone who's watching now who this resonates with, feel free to share this, spread this anywhere you can, and make sure that this doesn't die down. For the victims, seriously, guys, the more this is talked about, and the more people pay attention to this, the better this will be for the victims. And the more comfortable people will be able to feel coming forward. So that's the stream, guys. That's the fucking stream. I hope it was eye-opening. It was eye-opening. I was gonna say I hope you guys enjoyed it, but seems like an odd thing to say. I'm glad you guys stuck around. And if you guys enjoy my shit, you want to listen to me more, then feel free to subscribe. Because, like I said, I do a shit ton of streams and stuff outside of this. And I'll probably do something tomorrow that's just completely chill. And not drama related. So anyone who's interested in the drama and just interested in the drama, feel free to not show up to my next stream. But yeah, that's it, guys. We'll see you guys next time. See you guys for the next edition of the Hopium Den. See you guys. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Join my Discord. Subscribe to Underhaven. All of that shit. We'll be back tomorrow with a normal stream. But you guys don't have to do any of that. I'm glad that people are watching and supporting and being positive. And all I want to do is spread a little fucking positivity in this world. Little hopium. Because there ain't enough of it. So, from me to all of you, have a wonderful night. And stay strong. Every last one of you. Because you're all beautiful. Every last one of you. Never forget that. I love you. All of y'all. Spread the love. Hells yeah. Spread the motherfucking love, guys. Peace out. All right? Peace out, guys.